We all want to look good, and part of that is having an aesthetic body. So I've made a list of the only exercises you need to do to build your aesthetic body. So we'll start from the bottom and work our way up. So let's start with calf raises. Calf raises, you only need to perform body weight. You don't need to perform with loads and loads in weight and do low reps. This is a muscle that is better trained with higher reps. It should feel like the muscle is burning at the end of the set. When performing the calf raise, you can do it on a box or a step, so your heel can dip below the box or step to give your calf that extra stretch. Next, we're going to move into the quads. We need to do some sort of squat variation. I think the hack squat is the best variation you can do if your only focus is aesthetics and you want to build your quads. By doing hack squat over something like back squat, we remove any limiting factor. In the back squat, our back is the limiting factor. If we can't hold the weight on our back, then we're not doing as much as we possibly could be. But with the hack squat, it completely removes that. So we can purely focus on putting the tension on our legs. When doing hack squat, we should aim for an 8 to 12 rep range. Then moving on to our glutes and hamstrings, we can move on to a deadlift variation. Personally, I think the conventional deadlift is the best variation to grow these muscles. The conventional deadlift puts us in a good position to focus on the muscles around our hip, so our hamstrings, glutes, and low back. Some people may favor stiff-legged deadlifts or Romanian deadlifts, but I prefer conventional deadlifts because you can lift the most weight. And for me, this is more of a strength movement. So you shouldn't be doing more than 6 or 8 reps at the very max. Then moving on to the abs. Of course, we want to build nice chiseled abs, have a six-pack. And for me, the game changer was doing the ab roller. This is where you're on your knees and you're holding the ab roller and you roll yourself out as far as you can and use your abs to pull yourself back in. The reason this exercise is so powerful is because it places a large amount of tension on the abs in a lengthened position. When you're rolling down, there's a large amount of tension on your abs and you have to contract forcefully to try and bring yourself back up. Then for a wider back, we should be doing pull-ups. To build our lats, we want to do a movement where our arms are over our head and we're pulling downwards. The reason I prefer pull-ups over lat pull-downs is because you're more likely to challenge yourself doing pull-ups. When doing a machine, sometimes people tend to choose a weight that feels more comfortable for them. But with pull-ups, you have no choice in the weight. So if you're uncomfortable, it is what it is. You have to do the exercise. And it can also be progressively overloaded very well because you can simply add weight to yourself. You can hold a dumbbell between your legs or you can get a weight belt and slowly add weight to it like that. If you're doing pull-ups, you should aim to be in the 8 to 12 rep range. And also there's an alternative variation of doing chin-ups, simply by turning your hands around and having your hands underhand. This is going to allow you to target your biceps a lot more and increase their activation. Sticking with the back, the next exercise we have is some sort of row. I prefer the bent over row or the inverted row. With the bent over row, you can use a wider grip. You shouldn't use too narrow of a grip because you're getting too much lat activation. With the row, we want to focus on getting mid-back activation and also some rear delts. So when you do a wider grip variation, this is going to target those a lot more. The same applies to inverted rows. Using body weight, you can alternate which grip that you use. If you use a narrower grip, you're going to be targeting your lats. But we're already targeting our lats with pull-ups. So I would opt for a slightly wider grip. Then moving on to the front, we're going to go with the bench press, the flat bench press, either dumbbell or barbell. I prefer barbell because you can load up a lot heavier and you're still going to get a good stretch. But I do understand why people do like to use dumbbells because they can get that slight extra bit of range of motion. So either is fine, but do flat bench press because this is going to target your whole chest. You don't need to faff about worrying about, oh, I need to do decline, I need to do incline. Just target your whole chest. If you do flat, your whole chest is going to grow. You don't need to worry about that. Bench press is also going to develop your triceps and shoulders, so you don't necessarily need to do any isolation work. Then moving on to the shoulders, we simply have the shoulder press. You can do the seated, standing, barbell, or dumbbell, whichever variation suits you. I do like seated variations because they put less pressure on your back. When you're standing, people do have the tendency to thrust their hips forward and curve their lower back, which can put a lot of extra stress on their spine. Similar to bench press, we should aim for about 8 to 12 in terms of reps. I like to go on the lower end, around 8, because you're still getting a good amount of reps. You're still going to accumulate a good amount of volume, but by having slightly lower reps, you can slightly increase the weight and provide more tension to the muscle. That's the majority of the exercises, but there's one key exercise, there's one muscle that you need to train if you want your body to look aesthetic, and that is traps. Think about a bodybuilder that has no traps, and then think about the bodybuilder that has traps. The bodybuilder that has traps, or just the gym goer that has traps, they actually look like they train. The traps are the muscle that makes you think, oh, this guy actually trains really hard. He actually looks jacked. And training this muscle is very simple. We don't need to put loads of weight on a barbell and start shrugging. We can use a lighter weight or even no weight at all and just roll our shoulders backwards. But do this for high reps. Like with calves, do it until it burns. Do this every day for a week, and trust me, you will see a difference. You'll actually start to feel the muscle, the mind-muscle connection will improve rather than just using momentum to try and lift up a weight with your shoulders. Then the last exercise that we need to do for an aesthetic body is box jumps. The reason I've chosen box jumps is because they're a high intensity exercise where we have to use maximal effort. Not everyone likes doing the slower, steady state cardio, so it is a good idea to incorporate some high intensity exercises into your workout. Box jumps in particular, we have to use maximal force in our legs to get on top of the box. So by generating tension, we can actually grow our muscles from box jumps. Doing high intensity exercise is also going to help us burn fat and stay lean. Doing box jumps is also going to contribute to lower leg power and lower leg definition. You're going to notice your calves look a lot more defined in particular. Doing box jumps also decreases body fat and helps us to get lean. Box jumps are a common exercise used by athletes. And look at athletes. Athletes do have a very aesthetic body because they're lean and everything is proportionate. So I've outlined some exercises that you can do for every single body part. And if you want to be aesthetic, that's exactly what you need to do. Train every body part. You can't just go to the gym and train upper body and think you look aesthetic. Like I said, well-trained people have a proportional body. They don't just have massive shoulders and a massive chest and then a long spine. They have everything developed. They have well-developed glutes. They have a good frame overall. So there are all the exercises that you need. You can put them into practice. You can find which variations suit you, which rep ranges suit you. By the end of the day, remember, the most important thing is progressive overload. You need to gradually increase the intensity and slowly push yourself to become better and better each time. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.